锡兰对不起，我错了。Not only that, but it turns out I even broke Taiwanese law. 拍摄，我是咧白讲，我唔对。大家好，我是唢呐。我的天哪，怎么变成这样子啦？ After our last episode, for the first time, our channel was attacked by the super popular and amazing YouTuber锡兰. Aside from the incoherent typing, the baseless accusations, and the direct attack on my character, I'm actually super honored to have such a talented and a respected vlogger come to our channel, and he even brought friends. So, to Cylon and all of your fans,
thanks, man.
I mean, let's be real, we needed to boost some traffic, especially after the Johnny Depp thing. Now, for those of you who have no idea what I'm talking about, Shilan and his friends despise us for a comment I made in the last video claiming that men and women should divide their labor and that men should instinctively want to protect women. Despite the entirety of the video's message, the comments exploded. Who would have thought this would be such a sensitive topic? Shilan suggested that we read a book, so we did. In fact, we read some theses, some research papers, and even some studies, not to try and prove him and our detractors wrong, but to understand why our values are so different. Now, of course, it would be much easier to name call and go in the comments, insult intelligence, and even send our minions to do our bidding, but I wanted to do something more challenging. I want to understand a different point of view. So, Shilan claimed on Instagram that our video was the worst and most disgusting video he had ever seen. Bruh, have you seen our CDC video? That one makes the previous one look like child's play. So, once you're done watching that and you're angry and triggered and outraged, do me a favor. Remember to promote our channel on IG and don't forget to tag me this time, yo. We'd love to have more views from Cylon fans. Now, I'm going to explain exactly where we went wrong and also properly apologize to Shilan. But most importantly, I want to talk about the possibility that maybe me, you, and everyone you know are all wrong and possibly in deep shit. And I've divided it into 3 parts, just for you. So prepare for the river of blood. 1997, the United Nations proposed the concept of gender mainstreaming in Beijing, which is the core value foundation of gender equality. In order to allow all genders to be treated fairly in different fields, they encouraged women to enroll in higher education. In 2004, Taiwan enacted the Gender Equity Education Act, which changed everything. It basically says that because there are different genders, if you place expectations on any particular one, then that is considered gender stereotyping. For example, men should protect women. This implies the presumption that women are weak, and as a result, men are pressured into being a protector.
A man provides for his family.
Because a man who doesn't spend time with his family can never be a real man.
So, if you're like me, Andrew Tate, The Godfather, The Chicken Man, or Aweed, then guess what? You're a goddamn oppressor. And we are the result of what's called a man box. Society's men placing expectations on other men to be more manly. So according to the Taiwanese Gender Equity Education Act, if someone of a certain gender does not behave as expected, anyone bringing attention to this is aptly labeled a bully. Like, men should be brave, but not every man has the ability to be brave. Or, women should want to get married. If she doesn't get married, she will be bullied and oppressed. Therefore, everyone should be respected and labor should be divided by ability, not by gender. So XQC's choice is correct. He can choose to stay upstairs and allow his girlfriend to go downstairs, if she chooses. He can choose not to protect his child because that's him exercising his free will as an independent individual. Society should not expect him to be a protector. Therefore, we at Haltita are oppressing him. So XQC and Shilan, sorry bro. According to gender mainstreaming, both men and women must be equal in education. Gender stereotyping will cause education and occupational gender segregation, resulting in inequality towards women and could possibly affect their mental and physical health. So according to the United Nations and Taiwan's Gender Equity Education Act, I am not only wrong by law, but my morality, sociology, and psychology are all royally fucked. So I sifted through some of our comments, and most of our young audience are very opposed to our concept of what a man should be. While on the other hand, the audience closer to our age seem to be in line with the idea of men willingly facing danger. In fact, just like I said in the previous video, you guys are split almost directly down the middle. Now, you young ones claim that we're holding on to an outdated frame of thinking and it should be abandoned and our mindset is poisonous. And I agree to an extent. New concepts and ideas are good. because women, as well as men, can finally truly be free. Dr. Jordan Peterson once said, in order to be able to think, you must risk being offensive. So, if Sheila and half of you guys and girls in the comments feel offended, just see me as an idiot trying to think. After all, there is a reason why we call this channel 好机车. Men and women should divide their labor. When I said this, most of you lost your shit. So let's clarify. When I made this statement, I wasn't implying that women should be restricted to certain occupations or that women can only do certain things. That is a completely asinine concept. I was actually speaking almost entirely in reference to personal relationships, but I didn't make that clear, so that's on me. So that left many of you in the comments to assume I was referring to occupation. Now, of course, occupational division of labor must be based on freedom of choice and also on competency. Men and women perform better at different things, so both men and women should recognize our strengths to better cooperate with each other. But actually, division of labor between men and women is natural and inevitable. But what does natural mean, really? Well, let's say that from birth, without influence from society, armed with only your instincts, you are free to choose. Now, upon seeing this photo, many people reacted and spouted something to the effect of, women have been oppressed for 200 years and didn't have education opportunities, and so on. So, look at this chart. It shows that even 200 years later, left with the freedom to choose, the result is still gender-based division of labor. Now, of course, an occupation should be chosen based on free will, but some social roles cannot be chosen. Taiwan and many other countries actually have gender-based division of labor, which cannot be avoided. It's called conscription. In Taiwan, the national role of defending and protecting your countrymen is delegated exclusively to men. In 2018, two researchers published a report on the condition of Scandinavia, the region considered to have the highest rate of gender equality in the entire world. The social status of women is much higher than men in these countries. But here's what the report found. After 50 years of statistics, men still dominated STEM fields in Scandinavia. And in fact, gender segregation was much greater. The conclusion was that when left to choose freely their path, women chose the field of social sciences. And although more women did enroll in the STEM program, very few of them actually finished their studies. This would later become known as the gender equality paradox. The research showed that in countries where there are few gender stereotypes and women have more freedom to choose, gender segregation is more prevalent, and fewer of these women are choosing the STEM field for their area of study. This does not mean that they aren't capable or that social sciences is easier for them. It means that they chose another area of study. So, if freedom of choice is natural, then what is unnatural? Well, I would simply say that that's the lack of freedom of choice. Check this. Out of 144 countries, Georgia, a country suffering from poverty and economic downfall, with 21% of the population living below the poverty line, is ranked 94th for gender equality rights. But the amount of women enrolled in STEM is the highest in the world at 56% of the population. Following close behind is Mongolia, Kiribati, the Dominican Republic, and Cambodia. So in these countries, women had no choice but to go to STEM for financial reasons. So maybe their financial situation limited their ability to choose. So when I say men should want to protect women, I'm talking about conflict in the real world. Taiwan is currently facing a very real possibility of war. And to my Taiwanese audience, you must remember that XQC comes from a world very different than yours. When you argue your point, you need to consider your financial status. You cannot assume that your position is the same as his. In 1 month, XQC can make more than half of your salary for making videos. His economic position and his nationality gives him freedom of choice. He can choose not to train himself to be a protector. But right now, most of you cannot choose. My perspective is from the bottom. XQC is from the top 1%. You think XQC is your friend living in Canada? Man, I'm your neighbor living in Banqiao. I see what's going on in real time. Now, years ago, Awi and I made a pact that if shit goes down, I ain't going nowhere.
We ain't going nowhere. We ain't going nowhere.
So I hope that many of you can train yourself to be a protector so that when the giant Pooh Bear attacks, we are all toxic, masculine, testosterone-fueled, violent motherfuckers ready to fight for Taiwan. Let me tell you a story. I have a very dear friend who I call Trin Mai. She's 155 centimeters tall and is one of the fiercest, most boss women I've ever met. In fact, she even taught me a thing or two about how to run my company. Now, way back in the day, she dated a man who was 180 centimeters tall. This man made a lot of money on the internet trading stocks. Dude was ballin' out of control. He came from a rich family, had dual passports in Canada and Taiwan, and pretty much wanted for nothing. Now, Trin Mai had every intention of marrying this man, until one day, while they're walking on the street hand in hand, a huge fucking dog jumps out of nowhere and starts barking and charging towards them. Her boyfriend's natural instinct was to push Trin Mai at 155 centimeters towards the dog as he ran in the other direction.
What kind of shit is that?
Now, of course, Trin Mai was completely frightened and freaked out, and her boyfriend apologized immediately. After she returned home, Trin Mai conveyed this story to her mother, and her mother's response was simple. Don't trust that nigga. Do not marry that nigga. And in the end, Trin Mai did not marry that man. She married a guy that was 165 centimeters tall, had no money, was not very attractive, had never been abroad, and could barely even speak English. Check this, his annual income was less than half of hers. Even his dick was significantly smaller than the one she had had before.
Damn.
But they've been married for nearly 5 years and have a beautiful son whose name will soon strike fear in the hearts of all men. Titanium Dragon. So, why in the world did Trin Mai choose this seemingly unqualified lesser man? That is completely illogical. Her response? Because he makes me feel safe. We can figure out how to make money together. Logic is for solving problems, not making excuses. By the way, the extremely lucky guy who married this amazing woman is that Kalpe motherfucker writing the subtitles that you are reading right now. STEM has become like our modern religion, and society even believes that the increase of women studying in these fields is an indicator of progress, causing us to live in a three-dimensional space with only two types of values and one religion: logic, which is equal yet cruel. Trin Mai's illogical choice made Awi and her a very happy family. To me, protecting women does not make me an oppressor. If you dare to be chivalrous, then you just might find a princess to take risks with you. The many things that make you happy are the result of irrational decisions. Smoking, eating junk food, marriage, even pregnancy. Shit, even Awi's wedding anniversary is on April Fool's Day, yo. Maybe, between men and women, it requires more positive irrationality to get along with each other. According to logic, the higher the rights of women, the lower IPV should be. However, in Northern Europe, where women's rights and equality is at the highest, domestic violence is surprisingly high. This is what is known as the Nordic paradox. 男女平权. So, a final word to my brother, Xilan. Bro, a sincere thanks to you for helping Taiwanese creators on Bilibili. I know that must have cost you a lot. Now, I challenge you to take it a step further. Rather than slamming accusations in the comments and on Instagram, try to create a video that educates people and gives them a different perspective. Or even better, let's have a proper live debate. Then we can see who's really LARPing and who's really about this shit. But before you do that, remember to like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you on the flip side. Peace!